The space station called Viridian Prime floated in the darkness like a giant metal flower. Its silver petals were actually docking bays where ships from across the galaxy came and went. Inside, thousands of aliens walked through wide corridors, talking in languages that sounded like music or growls, or sometimes just clicking sounds. In the main diplomatic hall, Ambassador Jiwoo sat at a curved table made of blue crystal. She wore a simple gray suit and kept her hands folded on the table. Around her sat representatives from 5 alien civilizations, each one ancient and powerful. They had been traveling between stars for thousands of years before humans even invented the wheel. Beside Jiwoo sat her son, Minho. He was 8 years old with dark hair and bright eyes. He had a small datapad in his hands and seemed to be drawing pictures on it. Sometimes he looked up at the aliens with wide, curious eyes. Then he would smile and go back to his drawings. The alien called Thexra clicked his claws on the table. He looked like a giant lizard standing on 2 legs with dark green scales and yellow eyes. He stared at Minho with something like disgust. "Why did you bring a child here?" Thexra asked. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "This is a place for serious discussions, not a nursery." Ambassador Jiwoo smiled softly. "My son likes to learn about new places. I hope you don't mind." Velcros, who looked like a massive insect with too many legs and glowing blue eyes, made a buzzing sound. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect human language but with a strange echo. "It is unusual," Velcro said. "In our culture, young ones stay in learning centers. They do not attend important meetings." Jiwoo nodded. "Every culture is different. On Earth, we believe children learn best by seeing the world." The aliens exchanged looks. They thought this was proof that humans were primitive. What kind of civilization brought children to diplomatic meetings? It seemed careless and unprofessional. They decided to ignore the boy and continue with business. Humanity had only recently joined the galactic community. Earth had solved an ancient math problem that unlocked a new way to travel faster than light. This impressed the older civilizations enough to give humans a seat at the table. But just barely. The aliens still saw Earth as young and weak, like a baby learning to walk. Earth only had 17 warships. The reptilian dominion, which Thexra represented, had more than 300. The other civilizations had even more. If it came to war, everyone knew humans would lose quickly. Thexra leaned forward. "Let us discuss the border systems near your homeworld. The Dominion believes those systems should be shared. It is only fair." "Shared?"
Jiwoo asked calmly.
"Or controlled by the Dominion?" "It is the same thing," Thexra said with what might have been a smile. "We are much stronger. We can protect those systems better than you can. It would be wise for Earth to agree." Minho looked up from his datapad. "Excuse me, sir," he said in a small voice. "Are those scales on your arms? They're really pretty. Can I draw them?" Thexra blinked in surprise. Then he laughed, a harsh sound like metal scraping. "The child thinks my battle scales are pretty. How amusing. Yes, little human, you may draw them." Minho smiled and bent over his datapad, his fingers moving quickly across the screen. The other aliens seemed to relax a bit. The child was harmless, just a curious young one. Nothing to worry about. After the meeting ended, Jiwoo and Minho walked through the station's public areas. Commander Yuna, the head of Earth's security team, followed a few steps behind. She was tall and moved like a cat, always watching everything around them. "How did it go?" Yuna asked quietly. "Exactly as expected," Jiwoo replied. "They think we're weak. They think we'll give in to their demands." "And Minho?" "Perfect," Jiwoo said, glancing down at her son. "They see exactly what they expect to see." Over the next 3 weeks, Minho became a familiar sight around Viridian Prime. He would wander through the gardens where strange alien plants grew under artificial suns. He would sit in the observation decks and watch the stars. He would visit the public terminals and play games that looked simple and childish. The aliens who saw him would sometimes smile or make sounds that meant they found him cute. A few would stop and answer his questions about their homeworlds or their ships. Minho always seemed fascinated and would thank them politely before moving on. No one paid much attention to where he went or what he did. He was just a child after all. What harm could he possibly cause? But Velcros noticed something odd. The insectoid had access to the station's security cameras and could watch everything that happened in public areas. One night, while reviewing footage, Velcros realized that Minho's wandering wasn't random at all. The child had visited every major section of the station. He had walked past every security checkpoint. He had sat near every power junction. His path through the station, when mapped out, covered almost every critical system and structural point. Velcros felt something close to alarm. But then the insectoid reconsidered. Perhaps it was just coincidence. The child was curious and liked to explore. Young creatures often wandered everywhere. There was no reason to think this was anything more than innocent behavior. Still, Velcros decided to watch more carefully. The next day, the insectoid saw Minho sitting in one of the gardens, his datapad resting on his knees. The screen showed what looked like a simple matching game with colored shapes, but something about it seemed wrong. The patterns were too complex. The movements too precise. Velcros tried to access the datapad remotely, but it was encrypted with Earth security protocols. That was strange. Why would a child's toy have military-grade encryption? The insectoid brought this information to the council during a private meeting. Thexera dismissed it immediately. "You worry about a human child?" the reptilian said with scorn. "They are primitive. They probably encrypt everything because they are paranoid and don't understand technology properly. The boy is harmless." But Orin, the crystalline being who looked like living light shaped into a tall figure, spoke in a voice like wind chimes. "Perhaps we should observe more carefully," Orin suggested. "There is no harm in being cautious." The next day, Orin encountered Minho in one of the observation decks. The child was looking out at the stars, his datapad tucked under his arm. "Hello," Minho said with a friendly smile.
"You're really beautiful."
"Do your people all glow like that?" Orin responded kindly, explaining how the crystalline civilization existed as energy rather than solid matter. While they talked, Orin carefully extended a scanning field, trying to read the child's neural patterns. It was a simple scan, harmless, something Orin had done thousands of times with other species. What Orin discovered made the energy being freeze in shock. Minho's brain was not working like a normal child's brain. It was processing information at incredible speed, running multiple complex calculations at the same time. The neural activity looked more like an advanced computer than a living mind. And somehow, while maintaining his innocent expression and childlike manner, Minho was analyzing everything around him with frightening precision. Orin pulled back the scan quickly. Minho continued smiling as if nothing had happened, but for just a moment Orin thought the child's eyes looked much older and much more aware than they should be. "Thank you for talking with me," Minho said politely. Then he walked away, his small figure disappearing into the crowd of aliens moving through the station. Orin immediately contacted Velcros. Something was very wrong. The human child was not what he appeared to be, and if the aliens had misjudged the child so completely, what else had they misjudged about humanity? 3 weeks after the first meeting, something changed. The station's long-range sensors picked up a massive fleet approaching from the edge of the outer nexus. More than 300 warships, all bearing the mark of the reptilian dominion. They stopped just outside the neutral zone, their weapons powered down but ready. When the council met again, Thexera sat at the table with a satisfied look on his face. His yellow eyes gleamed with confidence. "That fleet outside," he said slowly, "is simply conducting routine exercises. Nothing for anyone to worry about. However, it does remind us of the importance of cooperation between our civilizations." Everyone in the room understood what this meant. The reptilian dominion was making a threat. The fleet was a show of force, a reminder that they had the power to destroy Earth if they wanted to. Ambassador Jiwoo sat quietly, her face showing no emotion. Minho sat beside her as always, drawing on his datapad. He seemed completely unaware of the tension in the room. "Let me be clear," Thexera continued. "The systems near Earth's home world are rich in resources. The Dominion has the strength to protect and develop those systems properly. Earth does not. We are offering you a generous partnership. You give us control of 5 systems and we guarantee your safety." "And if we refuse?" Jiwoo asked calmly. Thexera spread his clawed hands. "Then you would be making a very unwise choice. A civilization as young as yours needs powerful friends. Otherwise the galaxy can be a dangerous place." Velcros made a clicking sound. "This seems like intimidation, Thexera." "The neutral zone exists for a reason. Bringing a war fleet to a diplomatic station sends a concerning message." "I bring only truth," Thexera replied. "Look at the facts. Earth has 17 ships. We have 300 outside this station alone. This is not intimidation. This is reality." Jiwoo stood up slowly. "I need time to consult with my government." I request a recess of 48 hours. Thexera laughed. Of course. Take your time. Think carefully about your answer. The council will meet again in 2 days. After the meeting, Velcross returned to its private quarters and began a deep analysis of everything that had happened since humans arrived at Viridian Prime. The insectoid could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. Oren had shared the neural scan data, and it troubled Velcross greatly. Velcross pulled up 3 weeks of security footage and began tracking Minho's movements frame by frame. What the insectoid discovered was disturbing. The child had visited exactly 73 locations around the station. When mapped, these locations corresponded to every major structural support, every power relay, every life support junction, and every defensive system control point. More disturbing was the timing. Minho had visited the security checkpoints during shift changes when guards were distracted. He had passed by sensitive areas when camera maintenance was scheduled. The pattern was too precise to be accidental. Velcross hacked into Minho's datapad. It took considerable effort to break through the encryption, and what the insectoid found made its many hearts beat faster. The datapad was not running games. It was running tactical simulations. Millions of them. Each simulation tested different scenarios for combat around Viridian Prime, taking into account ship positions, weapon ranges, defensive capabilities, and structural weaknesses. The simulation had been running constantly for 3 weeks, processing data from everything Minho observed. It had already completed over 15 million scenarios and was still running more. Velcross brought this information to the council immediately. The other representatives gathered in a private chamber, away from any human observers. The human child is conducting reconnaissance, Velcross stated. This was not an accident. He was sent here specifically to gather intelligence. Thexera looked at the data for a long moment. Then he dismissed it with a wave of his claw. So the humans gave their child a tactical program to play with. This proves nothing. They are a young species trying to look impressive. The boy probably does not even understand what the program does. He just enjoys watching the pretty lights and moving shapes. I disagree, Oren said quietly. When I scanned the child's mind, I detected processing capabilities far beyond normal human parameters. This child is not ordinary. All the more reason to apply pressure now, Thexera responded. If the humans are trying to gather intelligence, it means they are worried. They are preparing for a fight they know they cannot win. We should force them to surrender the border systems before they become even more desperate. The other council members looked uncertain. They did not like Thexera's aggressive approach, but they also found it hard to believe that a human child posed any real threat. Earth was weak. Everyone knew this. What could one child with a datapad possibly do against civilizations that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years? During the 48-hour recess, Minho continued his routine. He visited the botanical gardens and spent time watching the alien plants grow under artificial sunlight. He sat in the observation decks and looked at the stars. He played his games on his datapad, but now several aliens watched him carefully. Velcross monitored every movement. Oren observed from a distance. Even a few security officers from other civilizations kept track of where the boy went. Minho seemed completely unaware of the attention. He would smile at anyone who looked at him. He would say hello in different alien languages, his pronunciation careful and polite. He appeared to be nothing more than a friendly, curious child enjoying his time on the station. On the second day of the recess, Oren decided to approach Minho directly. The crystalline being found the boy sitting alone in a small garden area, watching water flow through a fountain made of colored glass. Hello again, young one, Oren said gently. Minho looked up and smiled. Hello, I remember you. You're the one made of light, right? Yes, Oren replied. May I sit with you? Sure. Oren settled beside the boy. For a few moments they sat in comfortable silence watching the water. Then Oren spoke carefully. I am curious about something, Minho. What do you think of Viridian Prime? Do you like it here? It's amazing, Minho said enthusiastically. Everything is so big and interesting. I've learned so much. Did you know that the station has 7 different life support systems? That's really smart. If one breaks, the others can take over. Oren felt a chill. That was not the kind of thing a normal 8-year-old would notice or mention. You pay attention to technical details, Oren observed. Minho shrugged. I like learning about how things work. My mom says it's good to be curious about the world around you. Her station, I guess, since we're in space. Your mother is very wise, Oren said. Tell me, Minho, are you worried about the meeting tomorrow? The council will make important decisions. Minho tilted his head, thinking, should I be worried? There is a large fleet outside. Some people might find that frightening. Oh, that, Minho said. He looked back at the fountain. Mom says that people who make big threats are sometimes the ones who are actually scared. She says the loudest dog in the room is usually not the most dangerous one. Oren stared at the child. There was something in those words, a confidence that seemed out of place. Before Oren could respond, Commander Yuna appeared at the entrance to the garden. Minho, time to go, she called. Your mother wants to have dinner. Minho stood up and smiled at Oren. Thank you for sitting with me. I hope we can talk again soon. As the boy walked away with Commander Yuna, Oren felt increasingly certain that something very significant was about to happen. The human child knew something, but what? That night Velcros contacted Oren privately. The two of them spent hours reviewing all the data they had collected. The pattern was clear to both of them now. Minho was not simply a child. He was a weapon, a very sophisticated weapon disguised as something harmless. But when they tried to convince the other council members, they met resistance. The evidence seemed circumstantial. Thexera was particularly dismissive. You are seeing threats where none exist, the reptilian said. The humans are desperate and weak. Tomorrow they will agree to our terms, or they will face the consequences. This discussion about a child is a waste of time. When the 48 hours ended, the council reconvened. Ambassador Jiwoo entered the chamber with Minho at her side. This time she had made an unusual request. She wanted her son to be present during the final discussion. The council members exchanged confused looks but agreed. What harm could it do? Minho sat down in his usual seat and pulled out his datapad. He smiled at the assembled aliens and began drawing again, apparently oblivious to the serious nature of what was about to happen. Thexera leaned forward, ready to deliver his final ultimatum. But before he could speak, Ambassador Jiwoo raised her hand. Before we begin, she said calmly, I think there is something everyone should see. Minho, would you please share your project with the council? The boy nodded and pressed something on his datapad. Suddenly, a massive holographic display appeared in the center of the room, and everything changed.